Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever looked back at your life or maybe your career and just thought, how in the world did I even get here?
Hmm.
Sometimes, it feels like this carefully plotted map. Every step feels deliberate.
Yeah, like you planned it all out.
Exactly. But other times, though, it feels more like this winding road, right? Full of unexpected detours, maybe some happy accidents, and those really crucial forks in the road where a simple choice, left or right, just changed everything.
Totally. Those pivot points.
Yeah. So today we're taking a deep dive into exactly that kind of journey. We've got some really fascinating excerpts here from an interview. It was conducted by Chelsea with an investment manager who wishes to remain anonymous.
Okay.
And his story is remarkably candid. It paints this vivid picture of a career shaped not just by, ambition, but also by intense pressure, some unexpected academic twists, and frankly, a healthy dose of pure chance. It takes us from this notoriously challenging national exam in China all the way to the high-stakes world of finance in Beijing, some really surprising turns.
And what immediately jumps out, I think, is his core reflection on it all. He puts it so clearly, he says, many things are not planned.
Right.
It might just be a fork in the road at a certain point. You suddenly choose left and your life turns left. You choose right, your life turns right. This is hard to say. And that's not just like a casual comment. It really highlights this profound tension, I think, that a lot of us feel. The interplay between our deliberate choices or careful plans and then just the sheer kind of undeniable randomness that shapes so much.
Yeah, that randomness factor.
It makes you ask, how much control do we actually have?
Exactly. And that's really our mission today, to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from his experience. What can his story tell you about navigating your own path? About understanding the role of serendipity, maybe? And perhaps, most importantly, learning to find some peace, in those unplanned detours and unexpected destinations, finding that wisdom looking back.
And maybe feeling a bit less anxious looking forward.
Yes, exactly that. Okay. So let's set the scene. We're going back to 2006, Shandong, China. Our interviewee, he's a high school student, and he's facing down the Gaokao.
Right, the big one.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, the Gaokao is China's national college entrance exam, and it's just legendary for its intensity. He describes it pretty simply, but wow, powerfully. He just says, very tough, waking up tired every morning, very painful.
Ooh, yeah, you could almost feel that pressure just hearing it described.
Yeah,
Intense.
totally. And what comes after this period isn't some, grand passion project announcement for his future.
No grand plan.
No. Instead, his university choice was purely pragmatic. He calls it a bottom-line strategy. His goal was simple. If I could get into Shandong University, I would go. If not, I'd repeat a year.
Wow, okay. So very practical.
Super practical. He ended up just barely getting in, scraped by, and then found himself assigned to a chemistry major.
Chemistry.
Chemistry. No burning desire for it, no long-held dream, just the reality of getting in.
That first step is so telling, isn't it? It really makes you think, how much of our early path, those first big life choices, are truly driven by passion versus, circumstance, or external pressures, or just making a pragmatic compromise.
Right.
And here, you clearly see a decision shaped by that incredibly competitive environment in China. It was a strategic move just to secure a place, not really a calling towards chemistry.
A foot in the door.
Exactly. It's a reminder that our first steps aren't always perfectly aligned with where we want to go, but maybe just the best option on the table at that moment.
And this is where things get really interesting, because his path immediately starts to, curve. He didn't stick with chemistry for long.
Oh.
Nope. After just 1 year, he managed to transfer to mathematics.
Okay, that's a pretty big shift. Chemistry to math.
It is. And why? Well, he mentions math was a strong major at Shandong University, and while he admits, he had some personal interest, it seems like the university's reputation in math was a huge factor.
So looking for strength, maybe?
Yeah, it sounds like he wasn't just looking for any path, but maybe a stronger one, even if it wasn't the first one he landed on.
That early adaptability, though, that's really key. Transferring majors, especially in a top university like that, it's not easy.
No, definitely not.
It takes good grades, initiative, and often, like he mentions, maybe a bit of good timing.
Yeah.
He uses that phrase, bu.
Which means
It translates beautifully to something like good fortune or a good opportunity presented itself.
Ah, okay.
So it suggests that, he worked for it, but he also recognized and grabbed an opportunity when it appeared. It wasn't about stubbornly sticking to the chemistry plan.
Right.
It was about intelligently adjusting course based on what was available and maybe where his strengths lay. It kind of signals that ability to pivot early on.
Foreshadowing, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe foreshadowing a career that involved quite a few more strategic shifts.
Okay, so let's fast forward a bit. He's finishing his math degree, getting close to graduation, and he's at another one of those fork-in-the-road moments.
Another decision point.
Yeah, but this time he's got this dual ambition. He says, I wanted both to pursue further studies and find a job.
The classic dilemma. Do I go work or do I go back to school?
Totally. He actually managed to land a job at a bank. Seems like a pretty good first step, right? Into the financial world.
Sounds prestigious, yeah.
But, he pretty quickly discovered it wasn't quite what he thought it would be. The reality just didn't line up with the expectation.
That is just such a common experience, isn't it? I mean, so many people get that first real job with a certain picture in their head, maybe from what they studied or what people told them, and then the day-to-day is just different.
Completely different.
And it's not necessarily bad. Actually, it's often a really crucial part of figuring things out, learning what you don't want.
It's so true.
What doesn't fit your style or your values. That can be just as important as finding what you do want. It often pushes you to reevaluate, you know, instead of just settling.
And his willingness to walk away from what probably looked like a good job says a lot.
It really does.
Yeah.
Shows that underlying drive for something more fitting.
So he pivoted again, decided to make another pretty big move, retake the graduate school entrance exam.
Wow. Okay, another intense exam.
Right. And he successfully got in to pursue a degree in economics. Now, he clarifies something interesting, and the degree was technically management. But he says, think of it as economics.
Gotcha. So math to banking to econ grad school.
Exactly. And that jump, math to economics, might seem a bit strange at first glance.
Yeah, I was wondering about that connection.
But he explains the logic. He says, very few math majors continue to study pure math. Usually they go into economics or computer science.
Okay.
Economics needs many mathematical models, and people who study math have a natural advantage.
That makes perfect sense. It's actually a fascinating connection and a key insight, I think, for anyone thinking about careers that cross disciplines.
How so?
Well, that strong quantitative background he got from math wasn't just, like, helpful. It actually formed this natural, logical bridge into economics.
Right, the models.
Exactly. It shows how different fields aren't always separate boxes. They often complement each other. You can leverage strengths from one area in a totally new field. It's about those transferable skills, the critical thinking, the problem solving, the quant skills he had.
So it wasn't just a random jump.
Doesn't sound like it. It sounds like a really intelligent application of his core abilities to a field where they'd be really valuable.
Yeah.
He understood his comparative advantage even then.
Okay, so he finishes the economics-focused degree. What's next? Is there a grand plan now?
You'd think maybe by now, right?
Nope. Again, seems more like an organic step. He puts it pretty simply. Internship, not much of a choice. I found an internship, later entered the securities industry, found I quite liked it, so I stayed in the securities industry.
Well, so the internship was key.
Seems like it. That initial taste, that internship, led him directly to where he is now, an investment manager in Beijing.
Wow, okay.
And he describes the job, buying and selling company stocks. The rhythm is traveling for research, monitoring the market during trading hours, and reviewing after closing.
Sounds dynamic and demanding.
Very demanding, I'd imagine.
Absolutely. And, that part about the internship really highlights the value of just getting your hands dirty, that real-world exposure.
Yeah.
Sometimes the right path, you don't find it just by thinking or planning academically. You find it by doing. By trying something and realizing, hey, I like this. Or even, I'm passionate about this. Something you didn't expect.
Testing the waters.
Exactly. Feeling the work, seeing if it clicks. Yeah. And his description, traveling, monitoring, reviewing it, gives you a sense of constant engagement. But there's more under the surface there, right?
What do you mean?
Well, it's not just looking at stock tickers. It's this intense blend of quantitative analysis, understanding macroeconomics, even psychology.
Market psychology.
Right. Behavioral finance. It's not just crunching numbers. It's trying to anticipate market moves, understanding these complex financial instruments, making super fast, high-stakes decisions with a lot of money on the line.
That research isn't just a vacation, then.
Oh, definitely not. It's deep dives into company financials, management quality, industry trends, all while this fire hose of real-time data is coming at you. It's like an intellectual marathon every day.
And with that kind of responsibility, that intensity, well, comes the pressure.
Has to.
When asked about it, he's incredibly blunt. He says, the work pressure is quite high because the pressure is immense when losing money.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
He talks about pressure from all sides, clients whose money it is, his bosses, and crucially, pressure he puts on himself, just this constant heavyweight.
And this brings us to a really important point about these high-stakes careers. Yes, the rewards in finance, they can be substantial. He even mentions rank isn't as important as managing capital well and getting returns.
Right, performance matters most.
But the emotional side, the mental toll, it's equally significant. It's not just financial risk. It's the psychological burden of that accountability, the nonstop need to perform, the impact of market swings on your daily life. It's intense.
Yet, despite all that, he mentions something interesting about longevity.
What's that?
He says, if I keep doing this work, I can do it until old age.
Huh. That suggests, despite the pressure, there's a strong underlying satisfaction there. Or perhaps a certain resilience, maybe even a personality type that can actually thrive in that kind of environment.
It's clearly demanding, but it seems like a path he finds genuinely engaging, sustainable even, despite the challenges.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, clearly, but it works for him.
So when you look back at this whole journey, right, all these big shifts, barely getting into chemistry, then jumping to math, moving from banking to economics grad school, and finally landing in this high-pressure finance role.
It's quite a path.
It really is. And he offers what feels like his main takeaway, his overarching perspective. He says, I feel that many things are not planned.
There it is again.
It might just be a fork in the road at a certain point. You suddenly choose left, and your life turns left. You choose right, and your life turns right. This is hard to say, and then he really emphasizes it. I feel there is randomness to it.
That idea of randomness, it's pretty profound when you think about it. It's such a contrast to the narrative we usually hear about, meticulous career planning.
Totally. The 5-year plan, the 10-year plan.
Right. This challenges that whole idea that we're always in complete deliberate control of our destiny. It asks us to consider the huge, often underestimated role of just circumstance, unforeseen opportunities, sheer luck sometimes.
Does that mean planning is pointless, though?
No, I don't think it's about advocating for no planning. It's more about maybe intelligent opportunism.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Like putting yourself in situations where good accidents are more likely to happen, building a broad skill set, and then having the mental flexibility, the courage, really, to pivot when one of those unexpected forks appears.
So, less rigid adherence to the plan.
Exactly. More of a fluid, adaptive strategy. It's recognizing that, yeah, we can steer, but sometimes the currents just push you in a different direction, and maybe that direction is actually better.
It's an interesting way to think about it. Embrace the fluidity. But I can see how for some people that might sound like, I don't know, an excuse not to try, or just to float along. Where's the line between being open to randomness and still having some direction?
That's a really important question. It's definitely not about just drifting aimlessly. Think of it like sailing.
Okay.
A sailor has a destination, right? But they don't just point the boat and fight every single wave and gust of wind.
No, they adjust the sails.
Exactly. They adjust, they tack. They might even catch a current they hadn't planned on that actually gets them there faster or takes them somewhere even more interesting. So you might have a broad goal, a general direction.
Like, I want to work in finance, or I want to help people.
Precisely. But embracing randomness means staying really tuned in to your environment, learning quickly from every experience, and being brave enough to change course if a better path opens up. It's about building resilience and keeping your options open, not being passive. His journey definitely shows drive, even with all the shifts.
That's a great analogy, the sailor. Now, despite this sort of philosophical acceptance of randomness, he does express a specific regret.
Oh, what's that?
He says, if I were to choose again, I wouldn't go to Shandong University.
Interesting. After all that, it's the university choice, not the major shifts.
Right. It's not about the major, which he clearly navigated away from anyway. It's about the environment. He found the academic culture there, especially in math, which translates roughly to too competitive or maybe too much of a grind.
Ah, the involution concept, that intense internal competition.
Exactly. He describes it as constantly self-studying, constantly doing problems, and he felt it just didn't align with what he thought university life should be about.
That is really insightful. The regret isn't about what the subject matter or the career it led to, but the how. The actual experience of learning there.
Yeah, the personal fit.
It's such a powerful reminder. that a school's reputation, its academic ranking, its prestige, that's not the only thing that matters. It might not even be the main thing for a fulfilling experience.
Right.
The culture, how competitive is it? Is it about rote learning or broader thinking? Are there chances to grow outside of just hitting the books? That stuff massively impacts your well-being and development. His comment about it being too stressful really highlights how important that holistic fit is.
Find an environment where you can thrive, not just survive.
Precisely. Not just based on the ranking, but based on you.
So with all this perspective, all this hindsight, what advice would he give his younger self? Or maybe, to a high school student today, feeling that same kind of pressure, facing their own big fork in the road?
Yeah, what's the wisdom?
His advice is almost disarmingly simple, but really profound, I think. He just says, many things are not as important as you think. Just relax and calm down.
Wow. After everything he went through, the Gaokao pressure, the career pivots, the finance, that's the message. Relax.
Yeah.
And that connects so perfectly back to the start, doesn't it? The pressure, the randomness. His journey, with all its twists and turns, both deliberate and accidental, it led him somewhere satisfying, somewhere insightful.
Seems so.
And that advice, relax. It isn't about being lazy or careless. It feels like it comes from a place of deep peace, earned by embracing that winding path, instead of fighting for some rigid, predefined route that might not have even been right or might have just caused immense stress.
Trust the process a bit more.
Yeah, trust the process. Value your ability to adapt more than your ability to control everything, and just find a calmer way through life's inevitable uncertainties. Maybe the stakes aren't always as high as they feel in the moment.
A broader perspective.
Exactly. And that broader, more relaxed view might actually lead to better choices and ultimately a more fulfilling journey.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you as you think about your own life, your own career path? I think our deep dive into this investment manager story really uncovers a powerful truth, maybe even a liberating one. Life and careers, they're rarely straight lines.
Almost never.
They're much more often this dynamic interplay of our choices, yes, but also circumstances and, like he kept saying, that element of randomness. The journey doesn't always stick to the map, but it can still lead to some amazing places.
And his journey just perfectly illustrates the value of being adaptable, of being resilient, and having that pragmatic eye for opportunity.
Yeah.
He didn't find his way by having every single step planned out from day one. He found it by exploring, by actually learning from the misstep.
Like the bank job.
Exactly. And by being sharp enough to recognize and grab opportunities when they popped up, even if they were totally unplanned. It really speaks to navigating uncertainty with an open mind that can often lead you to unexpected clarity and maybe a path that feels more authentic, more you.
We saw how that bottom line university choice, born out of necessity, led to these unexpected academic pivots. How a job that wasn't the right fit actually opened the door to a much more fulfilling career down the line.
Yeah, the pivot to economics.
And how even when you land in a really high-pressure role, having that calm, adaptable mindset is absolutely key for sticking with it and actually finding satisfaction.
That long-term view he mentioned.
Exactly. So as you reflect on your own path, maybe consider this. How does embracing this idea of randomness and the sort of freedom it gives you to pivot and explore, how does that change the way you approach your next big decision?
Interesting question.
Or maybe, how does it change how you look back at the unplanned detours, the surprising turns that have already happened in your life? Does thinking about it this way make you feel, I don't know, more relaxed about what's next? Or does it make you feel more proactive, maybe wanting to seek out those fortuitous accidents?
Yeah. Does it change your strategy or just your mindset? Definitely something to mull over.
Something to think about until our next deep dive.